has it taken me so long to launch a vitamin C serum, you might be wondering? I mean, we've only been going for 6 years, right? Well, the truth of the matter is this. I could only launch a vitamin C serum when I knew I could disrupt skincare in the same ways we did with azelaic acid and with retinoids by bringing together a unique combination of actives, the right concentration, to deliver something truly new for skincare. And I think we've done it with flawless Vitamin C NAD plus serum. So let me take you on a journey inside my head as I put together this one-of-a-kind formula. When we think about vitamin C in skincare, we are of course in the realm of tackling the signs of aging. So let me start with a powerful image. This is an image taken from a plastic surgery journal in 2009 that looked at the impact of the environment in how we age. And it used identical twins to study this. Now, these ladies are in their 60s, and it's probably not a shocker for me to share that twin 2 was a bit more outdoorsy than twin 1, spending on average an extra 10 hours a week outside. And we can see the telltale signs, can't we? We can see evidence of more pigmentation, deeper lines and wrinkles, and some sagging over the face, the neck, the chest, all that attest to the fact that she's had a lot more exposure to things like ultraviolet rays, but also blue light and pollution. And we use twins because they are genetically identical, which means that we've controlled for what's inside, and what we're seeing in terms of the difference in their skin is due to what's outside. And as a consequence, it makes sense that we say that 20% of aging is down to our internal genetic makeup, and as much as 80% is external. And that's good news because that means it's within our control. A memorable quote I heard recently in the Ferrari movie came from Enzo Ferrari himself, who said that when a thing works better, generally it is more beautiful. Now, it's a very Italian way of saying that form and function are inextricably intertwined. And so it's true for the skin. So we see issues on the surface, but to truly oppose and reverse the signs of aging, we have to tackle what's under the hood. And I think that reflects that where we are currently with our approach to the signs of aging, we focus on treating the symptoms, the wrinkles, the pigmentation, rather than actually getting to the root cause of why aging is happening in the first place. Thinking about the root causes of aging, we have come a long way, largely because of the interest in wellness driven by the desire for longevity. And this paper in Cell was first published in 2013, and 9 hallmarks of aging were described, and it was revised in 2023. There are now 12 hallmarks of aging, and some of them will be familiar to you. Dysbiosis talks about changes in the microbiome. We've got genomic instability, so problems happening at the level of the DNA that leads to loss of information as the cell divides. But let's hone in on mitochondrial dysfunction. So looking at the healthiness of the cell battery and how that pertains to aging. Now, this is a bit busy, but bear with me. This was a challenge for me even up until recently. I didn't do biology at A level, and I can tell you that learning about the Krebs cycle when I was at university just blew my mind. So have patience, I'll get through this. So we are mammals, and we use oxygen and food to create energy inside each and every single one of our cells. And the currency of energy in the human body is something called ATP. So think of the cell battery as kind of a furnace, right? It's creating energy, but as a consequence of creating energy, it also creates a small amount of free radical oxidative stress. Small amounts are fine. Our bodies are set up to handle this, and we have built-in antioxidant systems in the forms of things like vitamins A and vitamin C and vitamin E to put out the flames of this small little fire that's going on. However, our skin is exposed to lots of external ways that extra free radicals can get made. Cue sunshine, cue eating fried food, cue smoking cigarettes, cue living in a grubby, polluted city like London. And the problem is this creates lots and lots of free radical fire, and the internal systems can easily get overwhelmed. And the problem with free radicals left unchecked is they can go around causing little fires and damaging structures like your DNA and cell membranes, and essentially leads to a lot of damage in the cells, and this is not good. And perhaps the worst part of all of this is that the DNA that codes for the cell batteries is a specific bit of DNA. It doesn't sit in the nucleus, keeping nice and safe. No, it's roaming wild and free inside the cell near the batteries, so much so that it itself can get harmed by the free radical fire. So in a way, the battery is kind of poisoning itself in this kind of vicious cycle where then you get faulty DNA, it makes more faulty batteries, and more free radicals get created. So more flames, more flames, more flames. And the more flames that we get, the more oxidative stress that happens, the more we consume an essential molecule for life called NAD+. Levels get depleted, and then as a consequence, a whole cascade of events happens that includes things like loss of collagen, things that lead to sagging, things that can even lead to cancer downstream, all as a consequence of the internal balance not being restored. Now, if we think about this diagram, what's happening inside the cell versus what's happening outside in terms of our environment, we are currently very good at the environmental part. Yes, we wear sunscreen, we block UV rays, we use ectoin, that helps with pollution and blue light, and we can supplement our internal antioxidants with external ones to help neutralize those dangerous free radicals. Currently in skincare, we are very good at addressing the external part of the equation, but currently we ignore the internal part of the equation, which is a big contributor as to why skin ages. Once I realized this, it crystallized with me how I could build a product that would tackle all these core issues together. So we could supplement internal antioxidants with topical vitamin C, E, and ferulic acid. We could help support healthy barrier function and defend against blue light and pollution with 2% ectoin. And vitally, we could replenish and restore those vital NAD+ levels with a novel ingredient called sunflower shoot extract. So this tiny molecule fuses nicotinamide with a sugar molecule and a phosphate molecule, and it forms one of the most prevalent and important molecules in the human body. Without it, we'd be dead within 30 seconds. And that's because it's an essential cofactor in the creation of ATP from our food and oxygen. But not only is it crucial for our cell batteries, it also is involved in over 400 enzymatic reactions involved with things like repairing a break in your DNA or a damaged skin barrier. And in this way, it couples the energy status of the cell with how young or old the cell behaves. It's even necessary for familiar things like converting retinol to retinaldehyde and all-trans-retinoic acid, and it helps you get over a hangover because of its role in alcohol dehydrogenase. The tricky part, though, is that NAD+ levels drop throughout our lifespan. So by the time we get to 40, our levels have dropped by as much as 50%. That's not good. And the levels of NAD drop by different mechanisms, but the main one is thought to be this slowing of the recycling of NAD+ within our cells. So final graph for you is this one showing the rate limiting part of how we use up NAD+ and why those levels plummet at 40 years and beyond. And that's because of slowing down of something called NAD+ recycling. Now this is the rate limiting step in using NAD+, because the cells are consuming so much so rapidly that actually the failure is not the substrate for making NAD+, it's this recycling that's so important. And that's down to an enzyme called NAMPT. Now, what's exciting is that sunflower shoot extract boosts the levels of NAMPT, which decline as we get older. And interesting, that's the same mechanism by which exercise, which is also known to boost NAD+ levels too, has its action on the body. So when we restore NAMPT levels, we get a boost in NAD+, a boost in ATP, all those enzymes start to fire more effectively for a youthful cellular behavior. Are you still with me? Good. So sunflower shoot extract is an ingredient that I fell in love with around April 2023, and I was visiting New Orleans to attend the American Academy of Dermatologists, and I was on the quest for ingredients that would have an effect on the NAD+ status of cells. I'd become fascinated with this topic in my own personal wellness journey, and I immediately saw the relevance of it, not just for my general health, but for my skin. So when I saw what sunflower shoot extract could do for the skin, I immediately came home, I called my chemist, and I said, we must get some immediately. So what is so interesting about the sunflower shoot plant? So this is a very early stage in the sunflower's growth. And what is key here is that it is very, very vulnerable to being eaten by herbivores or destroyed by the environment. So it very cleverly produces a number of chemicals that help prolong its life and increase its own longevity. And it turns out that those same mix of chemicals is helpful to humans too. So all of this was very compelling information, and I went home with the intention of trying to validate what I'd seen. And I called up Professor Mark Birch-Machen, who is a world-leading expert in mitochondrial health and its role in aging. And I asked him if we could test the sunflower shoot extract to make sure that it all was as good as it sounded. And we very quickly, because we had a product to launch in September and we discovered it in April, arranged to do a series of experiments that looked at how SSE performed in comparison to niacinamide when incubated with skin cells that were exposed to UV rays. And what we discovered, most excitingly, that was 33% less damage happened in the DNA when they were incubated with SSE, and they outperformed niacinamide. And this all happened really quickly in the space of 24 hours. So we have our NAD plus boosting technology with our SSE, and we've combined it with 15% vitamin C complex and 2% ectoin to tackle that external issue driving that oxidative stress for, I think, a truly powerful effect against the big three: UV rays, blue light, and pollution. And the end result? Healthy, vibrant skin that radiates with so much health, other people can't help but notice.